Good morning, everyone, and we are on day 5 of the 7-day challenge. Welcome back, and thank you to all of you who have been responding and sending me messages and telling me how it's been valuable to you to listen and learn from this challenge. I really appreciate it, and this is why I do it, to make a difference to you. So let's get starting with today's subject, which is all about how active listening and empathy can enhance your relationship. Let's get started. We're going to talk about the power of active listening and empathy. It's important to remember that listening is not just hearing, it's about truly understanding and connecting with your partner on a deeper level than just a normal listening on an everyday normal way where we are just basically always observing and listening. Sometimes we need to tune into our listening skills and try and listen at a much deeper level, because this is where we can create a profound emotional bond with our partner. Let's have a look at what active listening actually looks like. Active listening is asking a question, listening to the answer, reflecting back on what your partner is saying, agreeing that what you heard and that what they said is the same message, and sharing how you feel about that, and then asking another question. And that's how you continue active listening. Let's have a look at empathy. Empathy, there are four aspects to empathy. Empathy is when you are able to appreciate somebody else as a human being without being judgmental about what they feel, their values, their dreams, their fears. It's about communicating your understanding that that's exactly what you are feeling, that you are not judging them, that you are willing to accept them, and that you understand not only what they're saying, but of course, understanding their feelings and validating their feelings. And then that helps them and feel that you see their world. You see the world basically through their eyes. And that is what empathy is. So, how can you be a more empathetic listener in your relationship? And why is it important to do it? Let's have a look at that. An empathetic listener is someone that listens with no distractions. They make very good eye contact, and they definitely show that they are giving the conversation sorry, their undivided attention. This niggling cough is not going away. It's important when you do listen that you show your partner with your body language that you're listening. And as I said here, eye contact is important. How do you nod your head? What is your body language? Are you turning towards your partner? Are you keeping your phone on and listening to notifications coming up and letting your eyes go away? Put away all those distractions and really hold a space where it's just the two of you in this space of, here I am, I'm ready to listen. The thing about practicing reflective listening is a very, very important part of being an effective and empathetic listener. You need to be able to clarify that what the message you are hearing from your partner is exactly what they're saying. We often jump and misunderstand and jump to conclusions about what people are actually saying. We might subconsciously be triggered by what they're saying, and in our minds go in a different direction, and then we're not listening anymore. We're actually listening to our own head. So make sure that you practice reflective listening by clarifying back what you hear, and by also bringing your consciousness back to the conversation by what the person is saying and not getting distracted by what's going on in your own head. Empathetic responding is a very, very crucial part of being an empathetic listener. And this is where we turn to the validation part of it. This is how you respond. Are you feeling that you're getting annoyed? Are you feeling that you're getting defensive when the person is talking? That is when you need to remind yourself that that's not what you're trying to do right now. You are trying to validate this person's feelings and show empathy for how they're feeling and understanding. So when you do have an opportunity to respond without interrupting, remember, that is when you validate back and say, I understand that you are upset. I understand how that could have made you feel rejected or made you feel annoyed. I understand is the key word here. And then the last point here is to have a non-judgmental approach. And this again refers back to those assumptions that we make. We assume that people might think a certain way about us or how we think or what how our actions affect them. But that's an assumption. And as you know, assumptions are most of the time not true. And also important to remember is that when we make assumptions, the root of assumptions are your own fears. So you are approaching a conversation when you are implementing assumptions from a fearful space of what you don't want to happen, what you fear most about yourself, maybe rejection and judgmental, being judged as a person. So, try and approach it from right. I'm not being judged and you not being judged. We're here to try and understand each other's world and make sense of how we can improve the situation. I'd like to share a case study with you to explain how important active listening and empathy is in a relationship and how it can actually turn a relationship around completely when it is implemented correctly. This is Jane and John. Obviously, I've changed the numbers and the picture to protect their confidentiality. But when they came to me, they were in quite a tough situation because they were both feeling really misunderstood because Jane felt that John was spending far too much time with his friends. He was constantly gaming and meeting his friends at the pub, and she felt that she was left alone at home to be with the children. And they had two young children, so there was a lot on her plate. As you know, if you have young children, it's quite full on when you have young children. So I invited them to come and discuss their situation, and we began to explore their feelings in more detail. And I encouraged them both to practice active listening by focusing on empathetic listening. And as you know, empathetic listening is when you are listening and not talking, when you are trying to really hear when the emotions are being spoken about and validating those emotions, and get a deeper understanding of the person's perspectives and needs. And this is what they did. We gave them each a chance to speak, and each of them obviously then had a chance to listen empathetically. I started with Jane, and I asked her to share her perspective while John listened very, very carefully. And it was interesting to see that they weren't really used to listening effectively, and how I had to keep bringing them back to, no, you're listening now. You don't have to defend yourself. You don't have to have feel that you're being criticized. Your only job is to listen. And as Jane shared her feelings and her needs for connection with John, he could really start seeing that she was actually trying to express her needs. So he started seeing her point of view, and he started appreciating that maybe his hobbies had been impacting her in a way that he didn't really realize. So in response, he showed his empathy. He showed his remorse, and he apologized. He admitted that he had been a bit neglectful of her needs, and promised to make an effort to be more present and to offer her more quality time, and understand that her love language was in actual fact quality time. And he had to address that for them to be able to connect. So, at the same time, when John had an opportunity to voice his side of how he felt, it was very important for Jane to also realize that John really used his gaming and his time with his friends to unwind and to de-stress from work. So his leisure time was a priority to him because it made help. He felt it made him show up as a better partner and father with more patience. So they both agreed that they had to make some changes, and to set time aside every evening would be very helpful for them as a couple, so that they could really connect and make sure that they had that one-to-one connection time where both had an opportunity to say how their day was, what they needed from each other, and maybe get that connection time where they could have a hug, a cuddle, and really connect emotionally. It's also important to note here that it was also took away the tension and the assumptions that both were making about the other one's actions. So then Jane started being okay with the fact that John was playing games or going out with his friends, because she knew that he was actually distressing. He wasn't actually running away from her and his life at home with the kids, which was what she was thinking, and that it was just him trying to get his head in a better space so that he could be a better dad. So by using these empathetic listening skills as a tool for their relationship, John and Jane managed to develop deeper understanding for each other and their needs. And through this mutual understanding and commitment to make change and an effort to support one another, their relationship has grown so much stronger, and then it is now more resilient. So they can cope with the fact that they know they can actually talk about things by using this active listening strategy, and very, very helpful tool. I'd like to share this quote with you as a conclusion to this masterclass today, or this mini masterclass. And it says that empathy isn't just listening, it's asking the questions whose answers need to be listened to. And this is so important. Remember, when you do practice, empathy in your discussions with your partner, it's so important to understand that your role is more question asking than defending. It's very, very obvious that active listening and empathy is so valuable and very, very powerful when it comes to the tools for strengthening your relationship. When you focus on the understanding and the validation on each other's perspectives, couples really are able to overcome challenges and build these deep, deep connections of safety, the safe space where you know that I'm going to be safe, but to express my feelings. Through continued communication with this tool of active listening and empathy, your committed relationship will emerge much, much stronger, and you will feel more connected than ever before. Thank you for listening to Day 5. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can catch up on the other days if you've missed out, or that you can rewatch them and get a notification as well when I release a new video. Tomorrow, we're going to be on day 6, and we're going to be discussing self-care and maintaining individuality in a relationship as a tool to strengthen your bond. Thank you for listening, everyone, and have a lovely day. See you tomorrow.